I need to challenge something you are probably very proud of. Think about the last time you bought clothes on sale. You walked into the mall, you saw the bright red sign, 60% off. You found a jacket, flipped the tag, and saw the original price, $100. Then you looked at the sale price, $40. You did the mental math. You were saving $60. You walked to the register feeling like a financial genius. You thought you beat the system. You thought you found a loophole in capitalism. You probably even texted a friend about the incredible deal you just scored. I hate to break it to you, but you did not beat the system. The system beat you. The system is laughing at you. Because that $60 you just saved, it never existed. That sale is a complete and utter fabrication. Every single sale at every single department store you have ever shopped at is a carefully constructed psychological lie. You probably think I am exaggerating. You probably think I am being cynical. It is totally reasonable to believe that sales are real. We have been taught our whole lives that when a store puts something on clearance, they are taking a financial hit. We assume the store has too much inventory or the season is changing, and they are practically giving the clothes away out of sheer desperation. It feels logical, it feels right. But reality is so much weirder and honestly, so much more insulting. Let me explain exactly how this works. I want you to imagine for just a minute that you and I decide to open a pizza shop. We lease a little building, we buy an oven, and we perfect a really great pepperoni pizza. It costs us about $3 in ingredients to make one pizza. We do some math and decide that if we sell the pizza for $15, we can pay our rent, pay our staff, and make a nice little profit. So we open our doors. We put a beautifully handwritten sign in the window that says, "Pepperoni pizza, $15." And then we wait. But nobody comes in. People walk past our window, they look at the sign, and they keep walking. They are thinking, $15 for dough and cheese? Who do these guys think they are? We are bleeding money. We are weeks away from bankruptcy. So we decide to try a trick. We do not change the recipe. We do not make the pizza any bigger. We do not lower our price. Instead, we throw away our sign. We get a massive neon red banner and we hang it across the entire front of the building. The banner says, "Grand opening sale. All pizzas 50% off. Regular price $30. Today only just $15. What happens next? Suddenly, there is a line around the block. People are pushing each other out of the way to get into our shop. They are buying 2 pizzas instead of 1. Why? Because they are no longer evaluating the pizza itself. They are evaluating the discount. When the pizza was just $15, they had to ask themselves if the food was worth the money. But when the pizza is supposedly $30, marked down to $15, their brain completely short-circuits. They are no longer buying food, they are buying a $15 discount. They feel like they are stealing from us. This is not just a cute analogy about a pizza shop. This is the exact mathematical foundation of modern retail. It is a psychological glitch called price anchoring. When you see a high number first, your brain latches onto it like a ship dropping an anchor. That high number becomes your baseline for what the item is worth. Every number you see after that is judged against the anchor. Let me give you a famous real-world example of how powerful this is. Back in the 1990s, the high-end kitchen retailer Williams-Sonoma introduced a brand new appliance. It was a bread maker. They priced it at $275. They put it in their catalogs and waited for the money to roll in. But sales were miserable. Nobody was buying this thing. Why? Because home bread makers were a relatively new invention at the time. Consumers had no idea what a bread maker was actually supposed to cost. They had no anchor. They looked at the $275 price tag and thought, that seems like a lot of money to make toast. Williams-Sonoma was stuck. A normal person might think the solution is to put the bread maker on sale, lower the price to $200, right? Wrong. The company hired a marketing research firm, and they came up with a brilliant, entirely backwards solution. They did not lower the price of the bread maker. Instead, they built a second, slightly bigger, slightly fancier bread maker. And they priced this new machine at a whopping $429. They put the new, insanely expensive bread maker in the catalog right next to the original $275 model. The result was instantaneous. Sales of the original bread maker absolutely skyrocketed. They nearly doubled almost overnight. As the behavioral economist Dan Ariely explains in his book Predictably Irrational, the company never actually expected to sell a bunch of the $429 machines. That machine was a decoy. It was an anchor. Once consumers saw a bread maker that cost well over $400, suddenly the $275 machine did not look like a crazy luxury anymore. It looked like a sensible, practical bargain. The high price existed purely to make the lower price feel like a victory. Now take that exact same psychology and apply it to an entire shopping mall. Think about outlet stores. Everybody loves an outlet mall. You drive 45 minutes out into the suburbs, you walk past the food court, and you hit up the designer stores to score massive deals. Most people believe that outlet stores are filled with last season's leftovers. You think you are buying the exact same premium jacket that was in the fancy downtown boutique 6 months ago, just marked down because it didn't sell. This is a massive, industry-wide illusion. According to investigations by consumer protection agencies and the Federal Trade Commission, most of what you find in an outlet store today was never sold in a regular retail store. It is what the industry calls made-for-outlet merchandise. Brands literally manufacture cheaper, lower-quality versions of their clothing specifically to sell at the outlet mall. They use thinner fabric, they use cheaper stitching, they use lower-grade buttons and zippers. But here is the kicker. They attach a price tag that says, "Compare at $120. Our price, $39.99. You look at that tag and your brain releases a massive hit of dopamine. You just saved $80. But that shirt was never sold for $120. It was never in a boutique. It was born in a factory specifically to be sold for $40. The $120 price tag is a complete fiction. It is a ghost. It is a phantom number invented in a corporate spreadsheet for the sole purpose of making you feel smart. And this practice is not just limited to outlet malls. It is the core strategy of nearly every department store in the country. It is so pervasive that it frequently crosses the line into outright illegality. In California, state law says that a store cannot advertise a former price unless the item was actually sold at that higher price within the last 3 months. But retailers routinely ignore this. A few years ago, the Los Angeles city attorney actually sued Macy's, Kohl's, Sears, and JCPenney for what they called false reference pricing. The lawsuit was wild. It revealed that these stores were running thousands of fake sales. The city attorney found that Kohl's was selling belted cargo shorts for $36, claiming an original price of $46. Macy's was selling jewelry for $30, claiming it originally retailed for $120. But the investigation showed these items had literally never been sold at those supposed original prices, not once. They were always $36. They were always $30. The sales were a carefully choreographed play. Kohl's ended up settling deceptive pricing lawsuits for millions, and JCPenney settled a massive class action for $50 million. Not a little, a lot, every single year. Millions of dollars paid in legal settlements just to maintain the right to lie to you about the original price of a pair of pants. Now, at this point, you are probably feeling pretty angry. You are probably thinking these corporate executives are greedy, manipulative villains. And you are right, they are. But before we get out the pitchforks, we have to look in the mirror. Because history shows us exactly what happens when a major retailer decides to stop lying to the public. And it is the most embarrassing plot twist in the history of business. Let us travel back to the year 2011. The department store JCPenney was struggling. Their sales were slowly bleeding out. So their board of directors hired a new chief executive officer named Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson was not just some guy. He was a retail superstar. He was the mastermind who created the Apple Store. He was the guy who figured out how to make a computer shop feel like a luxury jewelry boutique. He was brought in to save JCPenney. Johnson took one look at the JCPenney business model and he was disgusted. He discovered that nearly 70% of all their transactions involved a discount or a coupon. They were playing the exact high-low pricing game we just talked about. They would price a bath towel at $20, but nobody ever paid $20. They just waited for a weekend sale and bought it for $10. Johnson thought this was insulting. He thought it was a waste of time. He believed that consumers were smart, rational adults who were tired of playing these stupid coupon games. So, in 2012, Johnson did the unthinkable. He abolished the sales. He threw out the coupons. He eliminated the clearance racks. He introduced a brand new strategy that he proudly called fair and square pricing. The concept was beautiful in its simplicity. If a shirt was worth $25, the tag would simply say $25. No original price of $50, no red slash marks, no weekend doorbusters. Just a fair, honest, everyday low price. Johnson literally told the media that he was going to cure customers of their addiction to discounts. He was treating the public with absolute respect. What do you think happened? Did the American consumer rise up and applaud? Did we flood the stores to reward this brave, honest company with our hard-earned cash? No, we destroyed them. The fair and square pricing strategy was an apocalyptic catastrophe. Customers walked into JCPenney, looked at a shirt priced at $25, and they walked right back out. They didn't care that $25 was the exact same price they used to pay when the shirt was magically marked down from $50. Without the fake original price to anchor their brains, they felt like they were getting ripped off. They felt bored. The thrill of the hunt was gone. Sales at JCPenney did not just dip, they fell off a cliff. Same-store sales plunged 25% in a single year. The company posted a net loss of almost $1 billion. It is widely considered one of the worst, most devastating strategic failures in modern retail history. The board of directors panicked and fired Ron Johnson after just 17 months on the job. They immediately brought back the old CEO, and what was the very first thing he did? He brought back the fake sales. He brought back the coupons. He brought back the $50 tags crossed out with red ink, and the customers happily returned. But here is where it gets complicated. We love to cast ourselves as the victims of corporate greed. We love to watch documentaries about deceptive marketing and complain about how we are being manipulated by shadowy executives. But the JCPenney disaster forces us to confront a very dark, very uncomfortable truth about our own psychology. We do not want the truth. If a company tells us the truth, we punish them with bankruptcy. If a company lies to our faces, inflates their prices, and hands us a fake coupon, we reward them with billions of dollars. We are not innocent victims in the retail game. We are active, willing co-conspirators. The retailers are just giving us exactly what we demand. Now, this does not mean you should stop shopping. It does not mean you should feel guilty for buying a sweater on clearance. We live in a society. We have to buy things. But you have to fundamentally change how you view your relationship with a price tag. You have to stop looking at the gap between the original price and the sale price. That gap is a void. It is empty space. It is a fairy tale written by a marketing major in a cubicle. When you walk into a store, the only thing that actually exists in objective reality is the money in your bank account and the items sitting on the shelf. The crossed-out number at the top of the tag is completely irrelevant. It is a prop in a magic trick. So here is the one thing I want you to remember the next time you are standing in a store holding a brightly colored tag that promises you are saving 70%. The discount is not a reward. The discount is the product. You are not buying a cheaper pair of shoes. You are paying for the feeling of being a winner. And as long as you know that, you can play the game without letting the game play you.